Hello and welcome to Muse College Consulting's Return on Investment Stories. I am so excited to welcome my next guest to this episode, Amanda Pulcini, and I'm going to have you introduce yourself in a moment, but I'm just thrilled to have you here and learn about your story and journey and where it's led you to be today. So, Amanda, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, hi. I'm just thrilled to be here. I'll echo what literally every one of your other guests have said, which is just feels like such an honor to be able to talk to you as somebody who was an integral part of my story. I'm just so thrilled to be doing this. I am Amanda Pulcini. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an actor, certified intimacy coordinator, and certified intimacy director. I've kind of done a lot of things. I have my BFA in musical theater from Shenandoah and my MFA from DePaul in Chicago with Tracy. And Tracy is the number one, my president of my fan club, my unofficial fan club.
Which
Who
I
knew that
will
I had that?
gladly take that title anytime. Happy to be the number one. Oh, well, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to dig into the details of your story. And I think what's really fun in this whole series is that, we're really digging in to see what people, like what really drove you to make choices to pursue degrees in the performing arts. And you've got two, as you just alluded to, and where that's led. And I think what's been interesting to see as well is for some people, it's led them directly into a path of performing arts. And for others, it's sort of been more of a twisty, windy road and led them somewhere else. So I know you have lots to share, but let's dig in. So you mentioned that you went to Shenandoah and did musical theater and then DePaul and did acting, and that's amazing. But what I think is really good for especially our high school age students and then people thinking about applying to university, I should say grad schools. Tell me a little bit about, think back, to a hot minute ago when you were considering starting this journey and pursuing an undergraduate degree in performing arts. Like, tell us a little bit about that story and how it all went in your undergraduate experience.
Yeah, I feel like I have a very one track path. I knew from the get-go that performing and being in the arts was my passion. The lore is that I came tap dancing out of the womb. So I don't know
Love
how that
it.
went for my mom's birthing process, but I mean, that was the thing to do. So I was a dancer. I danced competitively for a long time, and I got into piano and singing. I went into choirs where I went to Allstate and then musicals and any kind of community things that I could do. So it was always that was always my dream. That was always my goal. And I happened to have a person in my life that I respected very much that I was considering a bunch of different undergrad programs, and he said, "Have you looked at Shenandoah?" And it hadn't been on my radar, and I did, and I just knew that that school was for me. And in fact, it was the only school I applied to for undergrad.
Wow.
I
Okay, anyone
it was
listening, don't do that.
yeah, no, I mean, like, truly, I think if I would have gone back in time, I think I would have loved to apply to other schools. However, I don't regret my decision going to Shenandoah because it led me to my partner, my husband in life. So I'm certainly grateful for that. But it was the program that I needed to go to for the things that I needed to learn and the people I needed to meet. So I think ultimately, while I had a one track mind, that was where I was supposed to be. Now, I think I would be remiss not to tell my husband's story, which is he applied for three different schools with three different majors. And it was trombone, it was a musical theater, and I can't remember what the other one, I can't remember what the other degree was. But he was like, whatever school gives me the most amount of money, I'm going to go and pursue that career. And it happened to be Shenandoah. And he went into the career of musical theater. And now he's working at a tech company, right? So I just think that no one has the same story. No one has there's no one perfect pathway to finding where you're supposed to be. It is it you will know when you know is
Yes.
is the most vague answer, but true answer.
Yes, no, I love that so much. And yeah, to the exact point of your husband, I love that too, that he didn't really know where, he just sort of took his chances and then, led him into meeting you ultimately. And hopefully you both having a very good experience there. But right, and now he's not in the performing arts, but I think from what I know, he's in a creative space in what he's doing. So Yeah, so
Yes,
it all ties in together, which we can get to as we continue this conversation for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, so in your undergraduate experience, thinking back, I'm so glad that that all worked out for you. And I just think sometimes we do the best we can with what we know, and it literally leads us to the place that we're meant to be. So
Yes.
I definitely respect that journey because it's yours and it worked and it's amazing. And so, so think about, what from undergrad, like from your experience, knowing you wanted to be in the performing arts world and you ended up in a program that was a great fit for you, like what do you think was most valuable from your experience there? And maybe what did you learn that you weren't necessarily expecting on the front end?
Think one of the things that I really valued about Shenandoah at the time is that there were a lot of directing projects that I got to do. So while my degree was in musical theater, I got to do a lot of straight acting. I got to do children's theater. I got to do things from really small scale to we are just a bunch of students who are pulling things out of our closet and props out of our closet and doing Shakespeare at this local community building over here to something that was school funded. It taught me a lot about what I liked and what I didn't like, ways that I liked to work. It made me get creative with a bunch of different collaborators at a bunch of different levels. It that being able to access so many different um, production scales and
Mm,
stories
mm,
actually started germinating the seeds of why I wanted to focus on acting. I just didn't know it at the time,
mm,
but it
mm,
started to germinate that, oh, I loved doing that more than I loved musicals, but I still wasn't musicals for a long time. So
mm.
that, yeah, that was like food for my soul. And I didn't even know it yet.
See, there you go. That's amazing. Okay, so you successfully completed your undergraduate degree, and then what happened? What happened between grad school and graduating from undergrad?
Yeah, so then my husband and I actually, we were dating at the time. We drove out to Colorado, ironically,
Uh-huh.
the day we graduated. And so we'd been fortunate to pretty much work at a lot of the same places for a number of years. Uh, we did a lot of regional theaters and bounced around. We did a cruise ship. We lived in New York for a long time. I did the auditions circuit. I schlepped all of my jewel tone dresses and nude colored heels and character shoes and tap shoes and musical theater audition books and everything to every audition. I mean, I was doing maybe 4 or 5 a day at the height of audition season, and nannying on my off times or catering or doing all those things.
Mhm.
And so I did that. I did that life for a long time, and I met incredible people and made an incredible community in New York, and friends that I'm still friends with today. Um, I made maybe $300 a week on some job,
You made
but I
something.
made something exactly,
Yeah.
and I learned a lot about who who I was during
Mhm.
that time. Um, and again, didn't know it yet. I keep saying that, and I don't mean to like keep putting those little disclaimers in, but there's so much of my life that came to a culmination
Mhm.
really in 2019-ish.
Mhm.
But they were just seeds that helped that moment to go and everything to
Yes.
blossom.
Yes, which I love, right? Because you just don't even know what's coming your way until you know it. So it's almost like pay attention to the drafts of your story almost, right? As you're going along.
That's such a beautiful way of phrasing that. Pay attention to the drafts of your story. Yes, everything that you are writing, that people are writing with you, you just might not know it, but that is like what is being tilled. The soil is being tilled for your just like
Yes.
successes in life.
Right? Oh, I love it. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you did all the things in New York and we met in New York. So talk about then at some point you made this decision like, acting, that keeps resurfacing for me. And then you decided to get a master's degree. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I was doing musical theater and I was working pretty frequently.
Mhm.
But I recognized that in musical theater, we never got to spend as much time breaking down the scene work and really developing the character because you only had maybe 2 weeks and then you're in tech. And by the
Mhm.
time you get through all the choreography and the music learning and everything, it was it just took a lot of time. And I realized that that's what I was missing. So in a moment of actually here in California, I was visiting my husband. We were driving down Big Sur and I'm looking at the water and I start crying. I'm like, I need a change needs to happen. I knew I was on the precipice of something needing to shift in my life. And I had talked to a friend that had a couple of friends who had done grad school for acting. And I went, that's what I need to know more about. That's what I'm curious about. So I need to go back to school. I need to know what I don't know. So I auditioned for programs for 3 years and I auditioned for so many programs. It was a very opposite experience in my undergrad.
Okay.
Anything that I could get my hands on, I was auditioning for. I was applying to. I was figuring out my material. I was coaching. I was just, and I got offers from a couple schools, and I knew like this is not. That's not it. That's not right. And I kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and it was 3 years, and it was a painful 3 years because I thought maybe all these no's are just telling me that I shouldn't be doing this, that this isn't the right field for me. Oh gosh, I could get choked up just thinking about it. There was so much that I could have taken as confirmation bias to why I wasn't good enough in those rejections. And in the meantime, I kept seeking out other opportunities to improve my craft and to figure out what lit me on fire. So I worked with graduate directors at Columbia University. I joined the Shakespeare Forum in New York and started just doing monologues. And I did a show there and started getting feedback that like, no, you're on the right path. You should be doing this. People want to work with you. You just haven't found that school, that program yet. And I auditioned for DePaul. And I remember really loving the audition process, but at this point I became a little desensitized and thought like, I don't know anymore. And DePaul's acceptance came later than other people's acceptance. So when you called, I was like, is this a joke?
Not a joke.
You're not for me, right? You're just you're being nice to call to tell me that I didn't get in, right? And I was so over the moon. I mean, I cried when I read your email, I'm sure. And just talking to you and going and visiting the school, I just had to pinch myself. I couldn't believe that it was a thing.
Yeah, felt like the right fit after all that time.
It absolutely felt like the right fit. And I don't think I realized, I think I knew I was excited about going to Chicago and being in that scene because it was gritty, it was honest. There was a lot of storefront. There was a lot of really exciting things happening in Chicago. Talking to the teachers that I got to talk to was really great. But honestly, Tracy, and I'm not just saying this, and she's not paying me to say this. She's not paying me.
Oh my gosh.
I have a very clear memory of sitting in that conference room with you and talking through all of my excitement, all of my concerns, everything that I was percolating in my mind around finances, around logistics of picking up my life and moving to Chicago. And you were so generous with your time, your wisdom, your guidance. I never felt pressured by you. I felt very wanted by you and DePaul, and that just made me feel it felt authentic too. And that made me feel like, okay, I can take this step and I don't know what's going to happen next. And it's a big decision, but I can take this step because I feel like these people are really invested in me.
Yeah.
And that was a big.
Oh my gosh. Well, that warms my heart so much. And thank you for saying that. And so meaningful. And it's just back to this, like, I think things just happen when they're supposed to happen for whatever reason in that moment. And, I think from my side, I'm sure I've told you, but I'll share this with the world that like, we wanted you so badly. So I was like, please say yes. So I'm glad you felt wanted. You were. And, it's just a testament to being brave and being patient, right? And that's good advice for anybody in any step of this journey is there's a lot of moments like I have to be brave and I just have to just like pause and wait and know that the universe is going to give me what I need in the moment that I need it.
Yep.
I have to pay attention. And I think that, we were talking about this before, but we just have to lean into that sometimes. And it feels scary. It's so scary sometimes.
So scary.
I think sometimes that's when the biggest impacts of your life, like that's where they generate from. It's just that just waiting for that right moment, right feeling. So, so
Yeah.
powerful. Oh my gosh.
Your body is so intuitive, right? You know deep down when you're supposed to take that next step. And
Mhm.
you may not know all of the things that are going to happen afterwards, but you do know deep down when you have to take that next step.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think that it's really important that I frame this too in undergrad world. It is societally, it is a big pressure to you're 18 and now you have to go into undergrad. And to that I say, posh. No, that's rubbish. That's so dumb.
Yes.
You can take your time, take a gap year or years,
Mhm.
travel the world. Look at Courtney. I mean, like Courtney's incredible story about I knew I needed to travel and I knew I needed to interview people and tell their story. Take take that time to figure out who you are and then go to school. It's
Yes.
okay. School's gonna be there.
Yes, it's absolutely still going to be there. And there's no one right path for any person. So
Right.
personal. So, no, that's amazing advice. And, and I think it's interesting too, right? Because even in your story, like the fact that you spent some time and years figuring out, that grad school is even something you would want to consider. It wasn't necessarily on your radar at the beginning, what it was, where you're going to go, let that process play itself out. And a lot of people would have given up in the period of 3 years, right? And so, yeah, it just, you listen to what you need. You leaned into your instincts. And I think
Mhm.
that's huge for people to keep in mind.
I also, I would be remiss if I didn't say that I also had a great community around me. That
Mhm.
support system, again, I'm not trying to be cheesy. I'm not trying to sell anything, but what you're offering through Muse, what your friends and family and or chosen family uh, can offer you in that support through the unknown, it's really important not to just surround yourself with the yes people. You really
Mhm.
do want honest friends, honest family members to keep you calibrating. I grew a lot from my first grad school year audition to my third grad school year audition. I grew a lot as a
Mhm.
performer, as an artist, as an actor. I did not have it all together in quite honestly in any of those years, but I definitely continued to grow.
Um,
And that surrounding myself with community and people to help me talk through that was massive to my ability to have uh, stamina in that
Yes,
race.
absolutely. Yeah, community is everything. And like you said, it's chosen community, it's your family, your friends, your partners, your pets who you need to hug in a moment when
Yeah,
some tears may be rolling. So
fine. There's no judgment.
exactly. So, yeah, no, it's so important and just a good reminder to everybody that like find the community. And I think what I've learned a lot in throughout my experience is that sometimes people come and go in a very short spurt in your life, but they make the impact they need to, right? It doesn't always have to be the people that have been there forever, but it's like, wow, I had 6 months where I crossed over with somebody or engaged with somebody, and in that moment, it turned my pathway this direction or gave me I don't know, an introduction to a person that I needed to help me on the next step of my journey. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's just a lot of gratitude that can be recognized and shared for the community that has supported all of us in our journeys. So,
God, it's that Buddhist principle of impermanence, right? That, a cup, that one day that cup will be broken, it will be smashed, it will be unusable to you. But for this moment, it is intact, it is whole, and you can enjoy and appreciate it for
mm,
what it is. And yeah, there are relationships that are impermanent, and you may grieve the broken cup, the broken relationship, but also you can celebrate the
mm,
the the vessel it's giving you for that moment and that you are giving others.
mhm.
You are an impermanent fixture in other people's lives.
Absolutely. Oh, I love this so much. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So you do grad school. What do you have anything from grad school that you feel like this was really important, made a big impact on my career, or anything you want to share that feels like really important from your graduate school experience?
For me, going to grad school when I was in my mid 30s was important. I had some time out in the professional world developing my craft, knowing what I wanted, and it really made my time there feel particularly important because I wasn't just starting at a basic foundation level, and I really did feel like I was able to gain new tools and sharpen and refine things that I had been able to develop with a professional career leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
I also am so grateful to um, all the my fellow students in the BFA and MFA programs through all years, as well as my teachers helping me. I figured out who I was in grad school. That was when that moment of things are starting to blossom, and there was a lot of hardship
Mm-hmm.
in that process. There were a lot of painful growing moments through mistakes that I made, through pain that other people gave me as well, and that I gave to others. Um, but I learned who I was and
Mm-hmm.
what lit me on fire with my artistry, with my voice, with what I could bring, and it built a lot of confidence in me. So that is a huge thing
Mm-hmm.
that I took away. And then not only that, but my experience taking big risks in some shows led me to intimacy work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a big, I'll tell you, when the intimacy directors came in for that first show, I was like, what is this? I've been doing this for years. I don't need you. And I was so dismissive in a lot of ways for that practice. And I'm so grateful that they were that DePaul and many other universities are investing in bringing intimacy directors and coordinators to their students' work, because there is a level of patience and teaching and guidance that came with that I went, oh, I didn't know how many years I've been doing this, that having somebody on the outside to help facilitate conversations so that I could feel more confident doing this work, so that that I could have some hard conversations that I didn't feel like I could have before, because this person exists as a conduit between me and some power dynamics in the room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And I want to do that. I want to be involved with that. And DePaul gave me opportunities to have some work study, to learn about this, to do this work, to research and develop programs. So DePaul really opened up a lot of doors
Mm-hmm.
to that additional role as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, just opening doors to agents and other things that have certainly helped open doors for big acting career opportunities as well. So yeah, grad school to me was really a um, uh, getting connections, and again building community and personal development that was just right for me in that moment.
Yeah, the pivotal, really, it sounds like a very pivotal moment in your life. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is a good segue. So talk about all the things that you've been doing since you graduated. And, this is again, a moment where in performing arts spaces, what is very common is that people do many things at
Yeah.
many different times, often related, but not always. But you opened the door to start to talk about your work in doing intimacy coordination. But let's start there and then expand upon anything you want to share about your licensed grad school.
Yeah, yeah. I think so first of all, I graduated in the pandemic. So
Great
it
time.
was, I mean, I graduated in 2008 during a recession and 2020 during the pandemic. So I didn't pick great graduating years. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
you
the
nailed
curse.
it.
Maybe Taylor Swift, it's me. Yeah, I'm the problem. You're welcome, Marty Cruz and Matthew, for that one. So there were a lot of like, ooh, the rug has just been pulled out from under me. So I do want to say that graduating in a pandemic, even right before I graduated, the thing that I was doing was being a teaching artist and working at summer camps as the camp director for a local performing arts camp here. So I really was like, whatever, you just have to kind of say yes to the things that feel right. And I can use tools that I've learned from this program or from my life to be able to teach young kids, or going to grad school that could lead me to teaching opportunities at universities if I wanted to. So it was a little bit of redefining, okay, so acting and even intimacy work is on a bit of a pause right now, but this thing is still happening. So translating my skill set to that. And then eventually, as the world started coming back, so I got an agent just about a month before the pandemic happened. Blessings to them, but they kept going, and I traveled back and forth to Chicago for a lot of auditions. I was non-union in film and TV, though I was union in theater. So that was, to be honest, a little trickier. But being non-union in film and TV opened up a lot of commercials and some smaller projects that I was able to do with my agency. And then eventually I work in the theater area, not only in Chicago, but through my connection at grad school, I was able to connect with Jacob Jansen, who is the artistic director at Third Avenue Playworks. We didn't even work together in grad school. He had never worked with me before, and I just auditioned, and he kept calling me in because he knew of me, and people were talking about my work, and I knew of him, and I loved his work, and so that was how that connection was formed. And then once we got to working together, we worked on a number of things, projects, and then I started meeting people in the Bay Area when I was here, and just doing my own auditions and hustling. So even though I had an agent, I was hustling on my own to go out and to meet people in this area, and to start doing mixers and general auditions. And truly, people are like, "Who are you? Where did you come from? How long have you been in the Bay Area?" So yeah, it's been a nice little pickup at this point to doing a movie that just came out, which is Soul on Fire. That's, I think, still in theaters now, though by the time this releases may be out of theaters. I'm sure we'll be streaming soon. And I have a couple theatrical projects that are coming up. So yeah, and intimacy work. I'm so sorry. I lost the train of thought to intimacy.
Don't say sorry. I said, tell me all the things you've been doing. So this is good. That's the acting pathway you've been going down. You've been also doing intimacy work. Yep.
Yep, for sure. So once things started opening back up and intimacy was a thing, and we weren't making out with mannequin heads on film anymore, which was a thing. That's some
fun. Different intimacy coordination.
Who knew, right? Who knew? Some soap operas were doing that, and it was like, where are we? What's happening?
Now you can go back and try and spot the mannequins if you're watching, things
I know.
The 2020s.
Exactly. Some Days of Our Lives or something like that. But yeah, that I continue to study and do training with intimacy coordination at the time for film and TV. Was part of the first cohort at Intimacy Directors and Coordinators, IDC, that happened. And we literally studied with masks on and did that whole thing. I don't know how we intimacy coordinated with masks on, but we did it. And from there, that led to a job with IDC as one of their teachers. And then I started doing admin work. And then I became the director of one of their foundational training programs called the Accelerator Program. And I'm so grateful to continue to teach, to learn from people who are learning in the program, to bring in other artists. It's been a great side job. And I will say that was another turning point in my artistry. Is I did nannying. I did a lot of small jobs. Here I was doing, I was a secretary, and I did a whole bunch of things. And there was a turning point that I said, I just want to have jobs that are arts focused. And that might mean taking a step back. Wow, does this sound familiar, Tracy, to our conversation before? It might mean taking a step back and not having some financial security for a second. Can I do that? And I did a risk assessment of what that meant for me, for my household. And I knew what my threshold was going to be on how long can I take a step back and see if I can just work in the arts. And I was able to, from that point on, just be able to work with the arts. But that was, I had to do some considered decision making in that. But that was a big moment for me. Those little successes did feel really big of now I only want to work in the arts, whatever that means. Camp counselor for an arts facility to being an actor or an intimacy professional.
Yeah, which is so great to think about, right? I mean, there's two things in this and what you just said that your prior, first of all, you made a very intentional decision to prioritize where you wanted your career path to go, right?
Mm,
But you were very open in what you said. And so I think that there's, sometimes you have to take that moment to pause and say, like, I can do this, right? You did the risk assessment, you decided you could do it, albeit it was probably a little scary and unsettling and had a
yeah.
lot of feelings that went with it, but you did it and you committed to it. And then because of that, you are now able to continue to just focus on working in the arts, which is huge, and maybe wouldn't have happened the same way if you hadn't said, this is my moment to pause and pivot, right? The other part of what you said that is so important, and I want to talk about this for a minute too, is that you said, I've been doing all these different things, right? And what's key in that is that all the different things were you were able to do that because of the transferable skills that you have, right? And so I think that, what I really love to continue to show in these stories is like, what are those transferable skills? How have they played a part in your life? And it's very easy to get into conversations with people who are outside of the arts. And
Mm.
you often can receive skepticism about like, well, what are you going to do with that? Or how is that going to manifest in your life? Where when you actually talk to people who have made a career in the arts, they can say, well, actually, here are the million other things I can do because of this training that I've received that is just not obvious to people who are outside of that scope and space. And so I just love to talk to people about like, what are those skills and how have they showed up for you? And you've already sort of said it, you were able to do all these different jobs, but is there anything else you want to share about how transferable skills have really made, like, been there for you in all the moments of your life?
Let me tell you a story.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And it won't be about me. It's going to be about my partner.
Great.
He went to undergrad with me doing musical theater. As I said, we performed a lot together. And there was a moment in New York where I caught him in a lie. He said he had gone to an audition and he didn't.
Never lie to your partners, we know.
I still have that memory very clear, like where I caught him in the line, he peeks his head around the corner, and he was like, I think we need to have a talk. And he had said, I don't know if I feel as passionately about the pursuit of this career as you do. And I think I'm looking for something that is a little more stable. That led him to applying to a company where through his whole application process, what they said was, you are a very unique applicant because we can teach you all the technical skills, but we can't teach people the ability to connect with others, to communicate effectively and clearly, to have confidence and charisma and make people feel at ease when helping solve some of those technical skills.
Right.
And those skills came from him being in the arts.
Yes.
By far. And that has helped him tremendously on his whole pathway through. He works in the tech industry now. And there are still times where he's like, ooh, I'm feeling that steep learning curve of some of the technical skills, but I have gotten here and I've shown a lot of leadership because of my time in the arts, because I understand how to engage with people and to listen to people and to communicate that only the arts can teach you.
Yes.
To work with a bunch of different personalities and have to think collaboratively and creatively. Those muscles are developed because of your time performing on stage, or learning music, or working with a different collaborative team as a stage manager or as a costume. Like all of those things, all of those life skills, those soft skills, I should say, are fostered through the arts.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. And it's so interesting hearing you say that because, I am somebody who how I always describe my work in this space, right, is I've always been adjacent to, involved in, but not trained in the arts, right? And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think because I started at a very young age, as a person who just loved being in the theater and seeing, movies and watching television and just really appreciating all that goes into that work. And then it's been lovely to see how that's manifested in my career. Like, oh, I've turned this passion and interest into spaces where I can be involved and work with people in the arts. And, so again, without having any formal training, what I have also seen is that ability, like learning how to be creative and working with all different types of people and backgrounds. And it's so much about the stories, right? And I think that's a huge, like, if you're willing to sit and listen to people's stories and try to connect with them on some level through their story, I mean, it just opens up so many possibilities. And that's, again, those soft skills that you just learn if that's something you're interested in, but you can't necessarily teach that. And yeah, so, or maybe you're taught it in the performing arts spaces, but a lot of it also you're just like learning through the experiences I think that you all are having. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really cool, special place. And again, it shows up in such interesting ways in people's lives. So, maybe we need to talk to your husband next. Like, tell us
Yeah.
your story.
You should actually, you really,
Yeah,
really should, because he does have
exactly.
a very interesting story, and he still, fosters, as you said before, fosters some of that creative arts. He's in a '90s cover rock band, and he, works for a Renaissance fair band that he does a couple of
Love
times a year. Like, he is,
it. Amazing.
it's the best, right? It's the
Yes,
best.
I mean, I'm outing myself, but I love 90s music. So
I mean, he loves it too. He's like living his best Red Hot Chili Peppers life. So
amazing. So fun. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have one more question for you, and then I'll sadly wrap up this conversation because I could talk to you all day. But I would say, I'm curious, again, looking back on your story and looking ahead at who knows what is to come. What do you think the biggest return on investment has been for you as a person who has committed your life to studying the arts and staying in the arts?
I truly think the biggest return on investment for me has been the gift of being able to travel and
Mm,
work with a bunch of different people. It has opened up my eyes to a I think it's very easy to be in your bubble of where you grew up, how you grew up, and the people you happened to be surrounded with,
mhm,
that your parents or guardians or family members happened to um, be with, and find important as a part of your learning process.
mhm,
And being in the arts has granted me the opportunity to travel, to tell a bunch of different stories, to work at a bunch of different places, and to figure out, or not to figure out, to learn that there is something much, much larger than what I experienced in the first 18 years of my life.
mm, mhm,
And with that became a greater recognition of the humanity
mhm,
in the world that, to be quite honest, I didn't know
mhm,
before the arts, and before grad school
mhm.
even.
Yeah.
So the compassion and the empathy that the arts give you for the humans around you that you connect with very easily, or that feel on the complete opposite side of the spectrum of life and views on the world, it is massively important to develop empathy in order to be a good human in this world.
Yes.
I'll say it as bluntly as that.
Yes.
Empathy is what we are lacking, and the arts develops empathy, whether you're doing it or experiencing it.
That's what I value and appreciate about you so much, among many other things. So thank you for saying that. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with that statement and sentiment. Um, well, I will give a special plug as the president of Amanda Pulcini's fan club. She's talented, amazing. Watch her on the stage, on screen. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you will be just wrapped up in any story that she's a part of. So thank
Mm.
you for being a guest on this story with me. I have so much gratitude for you, and I hope that everybody watching really takes away all of the amazing nuggets of wisdom that you were sharing today. So thanks, Amanda.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And truly, I say this very openly and freely. Reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on my website. If you have questions, if you're thinking about what you want to do next, I'm always happy to help, because if it wasn't for the help of somebody else in my journey, like Tracy and many others, I wouldn't be at this place. So I really do believe in paying it forward.
Amazing. There you go. You all heard it. Reach out to Amanda.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you, Tracy, for this opportunity. My love to you.